So I will ask that.
Yeah.
Why did it took so long to get this working?
I think it was a case of motivation, as we said. You need the motivation in the economy. People need to understand there is a need for that technology. If you don't have that, that's a problem. The second side was it had to be cost effective. You had to make sure that you could afford it. And I think the third side was people wanted to see it done. They wanted to say, where's this thing been done? I want experience. I'm not going to try it out and be the first person to spend, a lot of money on buying something when it's never been done. So it was three factors, I think, that came into making it take a while to get to the market.
But it is now working.
Oh, it's now working very, very well. Yeah.
So I don't know whether you know our conditions here in Hungary.
Yes.
But we don't have those mountains suitable for the hydro pumps, and also we don't have great areas to the wind fields. Mm-hmm. So do you think that anyway we can use this technology?
I would have to say I don't know. I think there are very definitely applications for it. You've also got the advantage that you're tied into the grid with the rest of Europe. So the rest of Europe helps support you, and you've got a lot of pumping up in hydro in Slovakia, and that's closely tied to you. So I think there are certain applications in Hungary, certainly different ones, but I don't know if they are massive ones, because you've got, as you say, not much space, but you do have renewable targets.
Yeah, we do have, but we don't have the. We have very low capacity to cross the borders in the grid. So we have an old grid with low capacity crossing the borders. So
then there's a very strong possibility to do it. In fact, the weaker your grid, the better for us.
Yep.
And that's an important thing. And you don't want to invest too much money in the grid when all you're dealing with is the peak, when your load is normally down here. So you want to shave off the peak, then the economics become very, very interesting. And if you tie it to wind, you can meet your renewable targets, commitments to Kyoto, and those kind of things into the European Union. So yeah, I think there could be an application. Maybe not this year, but maybe in the next 2 or 3 years as this expands.
And does this system have a minimum size?
We make a 5 kilowatt system, so enough to drive your house for a day. So that's the smallest one.
If we mention, if you take a remote farm, what's the return on investment for them?
At the moment, with the current pricing, it depends upon a lot of factors, but you can get a payback in Europe now of under 8 years, without taxes, no subsidies, just a straight payback of 8 years.
So it's a choice for a farmer.
Correct.
To make a wind plant and add a VRV to it.
Exactly. If his tariffs are high, then it's a quicker payback. And if you have a time of use tariff, so you pay more during the day than you do at night, then you get an even quicker payback. That's what you have in Ireland, you have it in some countries, and other countries it's just a flat tariff. And I think you all move towards the two-tier tariff, the time of use tariff, because you have peaks during the day. And I think, once the regulator looks at that, he's going to say this is what you're going to have to do. And then it will make a lot of sense for farmers to do that. They can put it on the farm, it doesn't affect their grazing or anything, or their farming, because it's above ground, and they can support the system.
Yeah. And is there any other company using the same or allowed to use the same technology?
No one else is allowed to use it in the areas that we have patents. Our patents cover most of Europe, all of the EU, parts of Africa, all of the US, Canada, places like that. But you could go to some countries where we don't have patents and use it. So yes, they could do that if they wanted to copy it.
As a company, which area in the world is the most desirable for you?
I believe the whole of Europe is going to be the place where it takes off on the bigger systems in terms of wind applications. The islanded communities around Europe, Caribbean and those places where there's diesel engines is the next big target for us. And then the whole of Africa and India, the developing world where you have telecoms. Because telecommunication systems, all of them run on diesel engines in Africa because they have no power lines. So the way you get around that is to put in a battery and a wind turbine, and that cuts down the diesel burn and makes it very, very good investment for them. And there's a lot of interest in that area, so that's going to be the small systems.
Yeah, and what about Asia? Because it's the most important market in this century.
Yeah, the problem with Asia is intellectual property protection. So you have to make a business decision. It's probably going to happen, but at the same time, you need to partner with somebody who will allow you to do that. India is a very, very big market because that's probably similar size to China, but it seems wealthier. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent questions, by the way. Really.